Shit 90 Shows Taught Me.
Shit 90 Shows Taught Me was not filmed before a live studio audience.
Are you ready to slay another day? So are we. Welcome back to Shit 90 Shows Taught Me. I'm Jess Sterling here with my co-host, Sarah Humphrey. Sarah, how are you?
Jess, we're back again for another season over here at Shit 90 Shows Taught Me. I'm very excited. We are going off to Sunnydale, UC Sunnydale, college time. I am refreshed, renewed. I am so excited. I promise I will have such a good attitude about Buffy the Vampire Slayer. We'll say not one bad thing. Very happy.
Wow. I mean, I'll say a bad thing. Not yet, but
no.
Yeah, we're in college. We've officially graduated. Very exciting. We are seeing some typical college shenanigans possibly happening, which we'll get into. Buffy be struggling, Willow be thriving, Cordy be missing. We will talk about that. And I'm just gonna let people know right off the rip, right off the top. We did both watch the premiere of Angel as well. So, if you want to hear our thoughts on that, that's going to be in the self-contained Creeper Corner towards the end of the podcast after we're done talking Buffy. We'll spend a little bit of time on Angel and our thoughts there. But I want to talk about the freshman, Buffy herself, season 4, episode 1. Sarah, I was really sad to see how much Buffy struggled with the transition to college here. I think this is certainly something that happens to some people, and I like that we're getting a little bit of a reversal here where Willow is suddenly the one who is thriving and Buffy is the one who is struggling a little bit.
Yeah, I actually work with college age kids a little bit, and you're looking at me like I'm crazy. I advise.
No, I know.
Yeah, I advise for college age kids, and I definitely hear this a lot. I hear that some people when they go, I mean, I think it's pretty like known that that your first semester freshman year is typically the hardest in terms of like getting your bearings, like adjusting. A lot of people move away from home for the first time. A lot of people are thrown into curriculum that they're not used to. It wasn't my case. Like, I think that you get like two sides of the coins. I think that you get the people that like really thrive when they leave home because they didn't really have the opportunity as a person living at home to be able to like, it's like their first time of independence. It's like their first time to like absolutely like be themselves. Like they're either leaving like issues that are going on at home or like leaving in a high school experience that wasn't very good. So like for me, I was kind of more like Willow. Like I just like threw myself into freshman year. I like was loving it. I was like uber excited. I was like happy to be in a new state. I was happy to be away from home. I was happy to be living on campus. But I definitely hear the flip side of that, and people that are struggling. Another with grades. Oh my gosh. I have like my dentist tells me all the time.
The dentist that you know far too much about because they're your dentist and you shouldn't know so many personal details about your dentist.
Yeah, my dentist tells me about her son who is struggling for his first semester. I could get into that another time.
And what is do you know her son's name, their son's name? You don't have to say it. I just want to know if you know it.
I'm currently forgetting her son's name, but I know of her son. Yeah, I met her son because he like worked the front desk. So anyway, yeah. So
saga of you knowing so much about your dentist.
Oh, I know a lot about my dentist, just not her son's name. I know about like her daughter just had a sleepover. It sounded very fun. Anyway, yeah. So Jess, like obviously, so you and I have covered 2 shows that took place in college. So, like,
Mhm.
we apologize if this is, like, old news for you, but there's a lot of people that haven't listened to our coverage of
Sure.
Dawson or of, that other one, Boy Meets World. So, like, well
The other one.
well
And
well
Felicity too, right?
well,
Like, we've talked a lot
and
of
Felicity.
college on
We
this
did,
podcast.
but there's some people that, like, are new, and, like, I went
Mhm.
away. I, like, dormed for 5 years because I was psychotic. I had a great college experience. I went to 2 schools, 2 different schools. I transferred my first year. No, I transferred my second year. It was after my fall semester of sophomore year. I transferred schools because of this, that, or the other thing. And, I think that I didn't have, like, a my husband had, like, a big school, typical, college
Mhm.
experience. I had, like, a smaller school, but still had, like, a lot of those, like, same college experiences. You were a commuter, and you literally met nobody because you hate people.
Yeah, this is true. I went to a local state school. I graduated in 3.5 years. I couldn't tell you a single name of a person I went to college with, let alone make any friends.
Mhm.
I didn't care to do that. I was also working full time. So for me, it was go in, take my classes, leave, go home, go to work, do other things. I didn't treat it like it was a social thing. So yeah, I wouldn't say I had a typical college experience, though I would argue I probably had somewhat of a typical commuter's college, like,
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah.
Um, but
Commuters
yeah.
commuters are fake, like, they're not fake, but, like, I would definitely say, like,
Yeah.
I'm a little sad for you that you didn't have, like, a bigger college experience. Like, I'm
Yeah.
sad that you didn't experience, like, some of the things that we're seeing, like, Willow and Buffy experience, like the flyers and
Mhm.
the different clubs and, like, I don't know. I think that college is definitely a time for, like, people to really shine and become, like, their own person, but also I think it's also needed for people that, like, don't really have that much guidance. Like, I feel like probably you at 18 years old were a lot more, like, self-assured than, like, I was. Like, maybe you, like, had, like, more knowledge of, like, who you were in this world at that age, or at least you thought you did.
I also think it wasn't a small thing for me, at least in my situation, not saying this is the same for everyone, that because I got nearly a full scholarship to that school, it was almost impossible for me to then turn that down, knowing how much college
Right.
costs. I think that's not an insignificant way people make their decision nowadays, is just like, I didn't want to be in my 40s and have student debt. Like, there's just certain
Yeah.
things I wanted to avoid as well. So, it worked out for me. I certainly don't have, specific life experiences that people do that lived on campus and all of that. I find this particular sort of storyline on Buffy of the person who lives a stone's throw away from the college campus, like living in a dorm, always tickles me because I'm like, you are paying just so much money to live in a dorm unnecessarily, but yeah, she at least has the comfort of being able to return home. I suppose my parents never decided to turn my bedroom into a storage room. um but yeah, like, Buffy is also the person, Sarah, who I thought this was really funny because I'm such a Willow in this scenario of, she, like, didn't pick out any classes over the summer. She's late to, like,
Mm.
doing all of that, which everyone knows. Like, a commuter, anybody could tell you this. Don't wait long to pick your classes. All the good ones get taken.
Yeah, especially as a freshman when you already have, I think, like, last pick.
Yeah.
That is rough. I thought it was so funny seeing Buffy and Willow have, like, an actual book of, like, course catalogs,
Yeah.
because I think that you and I were definitely in the transition period. Like, there was a book when I was going to school, there was, like, an actual pamphlet that you could look at, but obviously the majority of our classes were online.
Mhm.
So, like, I feel like people that were, like, maybe, like, 5 years older than us probably, um was more so like Buffy's
Yeah.
experience, but seeing like them like going through a big book and like writing down what they were doing, it was really, really funny and very dated, very other times. But
Mhm.
yeah, I think that I definitely am curious like why, and maybe why Buffy wasn't excited going into it. Like I understand her worries or like her hesitation or having the feeling of being overwhelmed once she got to school, but like I'm curious, like she was so excited to like leave and have like this different like actual um experience of being like a real teenager. I'm curious why she wasn't looking into it further. And maybe it's because it's just like a big adjustment. She's leaving high school, like she's no longer has Giles under her or over her as a watcher. Like do you have any idea why or any thoughts why she didn't feel motivated to because she talked a lot about how like, oh, I want to be like an actual teenager, like I actually want to like go to prom or go to school or do whatever? Or do you think it's the fact that like she didn't get to go to Stanford or where the fuck she was talking about? I don't know, University of Michigan, some random place. Like she didn't get to go away. Notre Dame, I think it was Notre Dame, or maybe it was Northwestern, whatever. I just named like 500 schools.
Um, I I think her hesitation is really interesting. I do think there is an aspect of she's in this really weird situation where she's not going away to college, so she's not getting this like big grand distance between herself and her hometown or where she graduated. So she has that like hometown aspect of it, but also is living on campus and having to like being very overwhelmed with new things. Like,
Yeah.
where am I going to sleep? Like, getting a new routine down. I also found it interesting. We could talk a little bit about what we've learned in terms of what have the characters been up to over the summer, because we last picked things up, or we left things off when they graduated. Buffy just says she's been slaying a lot. Like, we know she had the breakup with Angel. She doesn't mention that at all this episode. She spent the summer slaying. And I just feel I truly do think Buffy is just the type of person who is always going to feel a little bit out of place the first day of college. I don't think it has
Mhm.
anything to do with her being a slayer. I don't think it has anything to do with necessarily even the location. I think it probably doesn't help that all her friends go here and seem to be adjusting rather well. I think
Yeah.
that certainly contributes negatively. But I think even if she goes away to school and she doesn't know anyone there, I still think she struggles a little bit because I don't think she particularly likes change all that much. I
Mhm.
think she just struggles with it. She didn't like having to leave LA and come to Sunnydale, right? Like, I think she just
Yeah.
struggles with change. And I think on top of that, if we're also talking about reasons that are negatively contributing to her current experience, the fact that she has to hide who she is again, I think is really hard for her, right? Because with the umbrella thing and the class protector thing, she was finally kind of out as like at least a person who helps. Not necessarily the slayer, but a person who is known to be around and be helpful. And that gives someone a little bit of an identity. And so when you're then asking that person to then take that part of themselves and put it back in the corner and forget about it and don't let anyone know about it again, I think there's like a certain type of masking that has to occur. Especially, Sarah, I feel like I understand why they didn't, but I think it's 10 times more difficult with Buffy dorming with a new person also. She's a
Mhm.
roommate now, right? The one
Woo-
place you're supposed to
Woof.
be able to be yourself and feel at home and feel comfortable is now a place where she has to like put up a front and pretend to be someone or hide things about herself to someone. So
Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot of reasons why Buffy wouldn't necessarily be adapting well immediately.
Yeah.
And I think all of those things are happening. I think she's not the it girl. Willow is now the it girl. There's one point in the episode where I don't know if he's a new love interest or if he was just a one-off guy, but this new TA guy that she like knocks some psychology books onto, his name is Riley. Later when she bumps into him, he doesn't even remember her. He calls her quote unquote Willow's
Willow.
friend.
Yeah, that's
Like
pretty.
everyone used to be Buffy's friend, right?
I guess so, yeah, at least, like, an earlier iteration of Buffy, like, the earliest, so, yeah, that was really interesting as well, just seeing her really not she really did seem all sorts of out of sorts, and it was really cool seeing Willow being, like, excited and adjusting a lot easier. I think that before we get into the weeds, I think that there's one thing that is the most important thing to us,
Yes.
and that is not my upcoming birthday. It is the looks. It's the
Yeah,
looks.
let's talk through each character's looks. Of course, if you don't already follow us on YouTube, this is a good time to do it because we're going to bring up little visuals to talk about. So follow us on
Yeah.
YouTube at 90s Pod. And you might have to use an asterisk for the I because YouTube doesn't like swearing people. So that's how to find us. Let's talk about our girl
This is
Buffy, who looks
it's
real
a
pixelated. That's
yeah,
not
this is
right.
the crustiest picture I've ever seen in my life.
Listen, let me explain to you what had to happen, okay? Number 1, this is not an HD. Number 2, our friend Brenna, we love her dearly. Her little Plex wasn't working today, so I could not pull images because when you try to take a screenshot of Hulu or something, they get mad at you. And I couldn't Google the show because I can't get spoiled on the show. So these are very graciously donated by our friend Tom. Thank you so much, Tom, for pulling these images
Mm.
that are very pixelated because this is a very old show.
Yeah, okay. Well, this is this picture of Buffy in 6 pixels is I loved Buffy's hair in this episode. Like I think the blonde was looking right. I think that the length looks really good. She did have like a little Dutch braid in the beginning of the episode, which I have since
Mhm.
learned guys don't think is hot, but that's okay. I think that it is a good hairstyle,
The
and I'm
one guy who doesn't think it's hot is certainly not listening to this, so I think we could say whatever we want.
I I don't know why he does not think French braids nor Dutch braids are hot, but um
Sometimes you gotta do it because sometimes hair be hairing all up in your face,
yeah.
and it's a very cute way to pull it back and get it out your
Yeah. Well,
face.
I liked it. I liked it. And I think it's because like I always was very envious of girls that knew how to French braid or Dutch braid.
Mhm.
I never learned or I never learned. Like my mom didn't know how to never taught me. So I'm currently like in the process of learning. But
Mhm.
I thought I really liked her hair. I like the blonde. So like, you know, as a blonde, I'm very specific about my tones of blonde and we're
Mhm.
going into scary territory last season. There was like some weird lowlights happening, but the blonde is looking right, the tan is looking right. So like of course Sarah Michelle Gellar, who is already gorgeous, is just like looking so good even in 6 pixels.
So I like this hair, and she has some layers going on. It's like a couple, like 3 inches or so longer than her shoulders. I feel like it's a little long for me. I liked when her hair was a little bit shorter. I think it's like very summery and very fun. I don't dislike this hair. In fact, I think this is the best the color has ever looked. But yeah, I mean, I like it. I don't love it. I like it. It's fine. It looks good.
She looks great.
Yeah. Do we want to talk about Willow's look?
Yeah, I would love to.
Okay, I'm gonna bring up Willow's look, because Willow's look feels very like of the times. It's like exactly what you would kind of expect from something happening in the early aughts.
Actually, okay, so no, this is not even what her hair looked like in the episode. Like this is very like um
School photo
Rachel.
shoot.
Rachel, yeah.
Oh
This
yes.
is this is very Rachel from Boy Meets World, this hair,
Yeah,
but
the color for sure. Yeah.
color and kind of the cut. Show the other picture that's in
Okay,
6
I
pixels.
will. I will
Her
pull up
hair
the other picture.
her hair currently does not look like this in this episode.
No, I have one of Willow and Oz together that I'll pull up that is
Yeah.
actually from this episode. It's
I
also very pixelated. I'm
I mean,
sorry. Next
like
time, hopefully the Plex will be working and I can pull these.
I don't like this. I do not like green eggs and ham. I do not like it, Sam. I hate it. Like it's so I mean, I don't know. Like maybe I'm just like a long-haired girly, but like why you go to college? You go to college. You go to college. You gotta look hot. You're not getting dick.
She
Other than
has
Oz.
a boyfriend.
it.
She's
I
getting all
know.
the dick she wants.
That literally says UCLA back there.
Oh, that's because this was like a behind the scenes, like it's not
Okay.
from the episode exactly. Yeah.
Okay, I was gonna say, I'm like, what kind of set is this? I don't know.
It's giving Mary Kate and Ashley of a specific time. Is it in Passport to Paris? Maybe.
Yeah, it's very of the times. You're right, but like, I don't understand. Like, would a college guy think this haircut is the it haircut? Like, if you go to college, would you, and you don't have a boyfriend that's Seth Green, would you get a boyfriend with this haircut? Like, would you get invited to frat parties? I would say no, because she didn't get the Jello shop flyer. So, like, I don't think that this is the move. Like, you don't go to college with shorter hair. You go to college looking like you gotta come looking right. That's what I gotta say.
I like this.
Yeah, you're disgusting. You're like,
here's the thing.
I get this shorter. I like it shorter.
I think there's times where Willow's hair looks really boring. And that's when it is like very straight and just long and boring. Like,
Yeah.
I like that she's added volume. I feel like that was previously missing. I don't necessarily love that it like flips out at the ends as much as it does, because that's where I think we're getting like early aughts vibes. She has like a little bit of a side bang, very of the times, like, you know, whatever. I think the color looks great. And I like when people get like a little bit of a shorter do for college. I think it's cute. And I also
you don't want to go to college looking cute. Like, we're not going to college looking cute. We're going to college and
she doesn't, that's not her goal. You said but that is not Willow's goal at all. Willow is signing up for classes. Willow is getting really excited about her psychology class. Willow is still dating Oz. Willow wants short hair, don't care. That's what she wants.
I'll be perfectly clear. I was fucking ugly as fuck for freshman year of college, and there was no dicks that I was getting. I was also in a relationship, but still, like, if I could do it all over again, I wouldn't
long
come
hair for college. That's it.
I think I did have long hair for college. Actually, no, I do have a picture of me freshman year of college, and my tits were out and I looked right. So
okay,
maybe I can find that. I'll find that picture.
Moving on to Oz.
I was 18 and hot. Oz looks good.
Oz looks about the same anyway. Like, I feel like his hair is looking more like when we first met Oz, which is like this like strawberry blondish reddish color. Yeah, he looks fine. He looks great. I don't know. I have nothing else to say about him because he looks like pretty much the same.
I have nothing to say.
Nothing else to say about him.
I got nothing.
And Xander.
Oh, you want to hold on? You want to see me freshman year of college quickly? I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah. Hold on. Oh my god, this is now me. Like, how do I share?
This always happen. I'm leaving it all in because this always happens. You're like, how do I share my screen? But every time you want to share something.
Look how fucking hot I was freshman year of college. I got to freshman year of college and I say the boobs are out and we are looking right.
How long is your hair? I can't even tell anything about your hair in this photo.
I don't know. I'm just pointing out my boobs. That's all I want.
That's all
that's all I want. I don't know. My hair was long.
The sexy ass pictures, Ferg. Looking good.
See, okay, this is what it was. I was a loser. I only wore t-shirts, and then
my god, tits, says Dina.
This isn't like you. It's like me, but not like you. You look gorgeous.
Dina, makes sense. That makes no sense, Dina.
Don't be funny. Dina's one of my best friends.
I love Dina, but that sentence made no sense. Dina. No, I don't know Dina at all. Anyway, moving on. Xander.
Oh, he looks great.
I think he looks very similar to how he looked last season, right? Does he look any different?
No, he looks good though.
Is he parting his hair differently?
Everybody looks a little bit older, but he looks good.
It's giving like Sean Hunter, but like not as long.
What year?
I'm not gonna lie, I like it.
Yeah, he looks great.
I don't know what year it is at this point. Early aughts, that's all I know.
Yeah. What year is it not? Is the question.
And then lastly, I do have one other person.
Oh, very important man.
And he is a daddy.
Yeah.
About
Giles
him.
has no job, unemployed.
Oh, look at him.
Unemployed. I'm gonna show the next picture. Show the next picture. I'm unemployed and I am here to just relax. And part of my relaxing is to invite my British friend over and sleep with her and have her wear my shirt and give her blue
Yes.
cheese that may or may not be old cheese. Or this is the thing about blue cheese. I don't know what kind of psychotic person likes blue cheese, but blue cheese is literally moldy cheese. Are you people okay? Why are you eating moldy ass cheese? Oh, he looks so good in that picture.
I cannot. Okay.
Yeah,
you know
he looks
what,
so
Giles?
good.
Listen to me, Giles. Giles,
Yeah.
are you listening? Okay,
Yeah.
Giles. Leave the tweed in the past. Leave the
Yeah.
tweed in season 3.
Yeah.
Okay. Bring in
Did you say threed?
threed. Yeah. I just want Giles in a robe and
A robe,
sweatpants
and that's
for
it.
the rest of his God-given life.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because this man, he's a fucking daddy.
He's
okay?
looking good. Yeah. If I was not just recently introduced to an actual TV daddy that might be the new love of my life, then this person would be Giles. That would be like
You know
the
what it
focus of my
is?
affection. What's that?
This is Giles, okay? And Giles is kind of hot.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is
yeah.
Giles.
But
this is Ripper.
Is Ripper. Yeah.
He ripping. Was he ripping? Yo, panties, girl. That's what he's doing. Look at him. Look at his face. I can't.
Okay.
I love him.
What was this chick's name? Do we know?
Olivia.
Okay. Hi, Olivia. Please come over. I will take off my glasses and I will take off your pants. Thank you.
That's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
Glasses be gone, shirt be gone, robe on. And then he's like, hey girl, I know I just rocked your world. Here's my shirt for you to wear.
Yes. And now please leave. That is all he wanted.
So I can
he flew this woman out from England just to sleep with her. And he said,
that's a power move. That is a power move.
I appreciate you and your time, but you may leave now. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you and goodbye.
Woo! We're going to get into Giles in a little bit because we got to finish Buffy first, but woo! Giles. Okay. I can't. I love him so much. Can we talk a little bit about, let's segue here. Can we talk a little bit about Buffy's new roommate, Kathy?
Yeah. Okay, before we do that, who's your little friend you got there? I see on video. You have who is she though?
All right, people watching this on the YouTube. I have fidget toys constantly, and these are ones that don't make noise. So I can use them on my podcast.
This one's a new one.
They're little people and they're magnetized.
Okay.
And I just
which one's me and which one's you?
I'm the blue one, obviously.
Yeah, that tracks.
You get to be yellow, though.
Okay. Oh my Kathy. Hater. I despise her. I think that she's god awful. She does like Celine Dion, and Celine Dion's pretty good, but I would die. And
she's so much, Sarah. She is what we in the modern age like to call toxically positive.
Ooh, I hate toxic positivity. That's awful. I could have been a Kathy. I was probably over excited, probably like overzealous. I was probably an annoying roommate at times.
Really excited.
I really did like my freshman roommate. I got lucky. First and foremost, me and my freshman roommate, we got along really well. We had the biggest room on the streets, on the dorm streets, and I'll tell you why. We were both supposed to go to a summer program, but the summer program got canceled. So then we got to go keep the biggest room. So our room, you're going to say in a few moments, this dorm room's too big. Well, my freshman dorm room was that big, bitch. It was that big. We had plenty of space. My freshman roommate, Delilah, shouts out to her. Haven't spoken to her in a good hot minute, but I think about her every so often.
She could be a listener. We don't know.
She's not. But she's not. But I am very appreciative because like a freshman roommate can make or break it for you. You can either have the best time with them, and you can get super lucky and they can be your automatic BFF and they can be your BFF forever, or at least while you're in college, or they can fucking ruin your life and then you'll never recover. My freshman roommate was really good. I really, really liked her and we had a good old time. We weren't like hanging out all the time, but like we definitely got on. We never had an issue.
I am a little disappointed. Again, this is one episode. So, like, Kathy might be the best. Kathy also might be the worst. And
Yeah.
we might get to see that. And either way, I'd be very happy. I think where I would be disappointed or feel a little unfulfilled is if Kathy is just nothing. I want whoever is Buffy's roommate, I want them to matter. Especially because, and we'll obviously talk about this in a bit, but without Cordy, I feel like we need someone, and I'm not trying to replace her, but we need that sort of a spunk to the
Mhm,
Scoobies. And so
mhm,
I'll be really sad if Kathy ends up just being nothing and really not mattering much. I think there's a huge opportunity to have a roommate character that isn't Willow be like exciting and fun. And who knows, maybe she's a baddie, maybe she's the big baddie. I don't know yet. I just hope that she's something. Right now, to me, she just read as like an irritating roommate who's like a little bit too excited and uh kind of snores. And that's it. Like I don't
okay.
have much to say
It's
about her.
not only the snoring, because like snoring is one thing. It's
Mhm.
the she makes like mouth noises, and I think like the mouth noises would send me. And then on top
Okay.
of that, she like giggles in her sleep. It's pretty unbearable, and Buffy really hates her. I don't think Kathy's long for this world. Like, I don't think that we're
She could
going
die,
to.
yeah.
I don't think she's gonna die. I just think that that I mean, we don't know what Willow's roommate situation is. We didn't really hear about it, but
She also has a roommate, but we have no idea. We don't know anything about this
we
person.
don't know her. I don't think that there is like a world where um there's going to be like two separate living arrangements. So like let's call it like sophomore year, they all live together or something like that. Like we've seen
A la
that
the
a whole
Loft and Felicity sort of
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
I just think that there's just like
Yeah.
no way they're not eventually going to live with one another. I think that Kathy is kind of a nothing, but
We'll
maybe
see. It's one
yeah.
episode in, you never know.
Yeah.
They've pulled
So
bigger mysteries and different things out of their hat than,
that's
you know.
true.
Yeah, but we have to talk about kind of the beginning of the monster of the week situation here with little Pedro Pascal making his little appearance
Oh,
on Buffy. Now, Sarah,
who
questions for you because
yeah.
you are not a Game of Thrones person and
No.
also not a Last of Us person.
No.
So how much are you aware of Pedro Pascal and like his hotness?
I know his name, and that's about it. I
Okay.
don't even know if I could pick him up in a lineup.
Whoa. Can I educate you on the slutty
Yeah.
knee? Have you seen the
Yes.
slutty knee?
No.
Okay. So Pedro Pascal is, and I'm pulling up the meme right now. Pedro Pascal is known for like standing in a specific position when he's like, what's the word? When he's like posing for something, right?
Okay.
So he
Mhm.
has this position he likes to do. And it's one thing about Pedro Pascal is that he will pop his slutty little
Mm.
knee out. So
Okay.
on the left is him in The Last of Us, and on the right is
Yeah.
him as the Mandalorian. And
The
then
the
joke
Mandalorian.
the
Was that Star Wars?
Mandalorian.
Is that Star
That
Wars?
is Star Wars.
Okay. So he's in
And
Star
then
Wars.
so he was the Mandalorian in Star Wars. And
What
then
what is a Mandal This is not real.
this
Is that
is
real?
real. This
Is
is
that
what
a
he wore.
Are we sure this is not AI?
No, this is old news. This is like this is a long time ago, but
Yeah.
it
So this
became
is just his post. He has a very concerning mole on his thigh.
that could be, is that not a tattoo?
I don't know. If that's a mole, I would
Okay.
wanna get that checked out for him.
Let me look and see if
Okay,
he
this
has a
is obviously
tattoo.
at the Met Gala. I am a Met Gala enthusiast, so that's obviously him at the Met Gala, which
Um,
it is a look. It is a look, and he does have a signature pose, which is very
well,
important.
and this is the joke is that he in one of his interviews, someone brought up this meme and was like, "But what about that slutty little knee?" And he's like, the way he's sitting, he has like one of his
Yeah.
legs popped up on the other one, and he just starts rubbing the tip of his knee. He's like, "Oh,
Oh.
this one." Like he's very in
Oh.
on the bit.
Oh, he's okay.
Anyway,
I do love that. I don't know much about Pedro Pascal, and
okay, it is a tattoo.
he
Can
w-
confirm.
oh, good. I'm glad that he doesn't have a very
It's not a
concerning
suspicious
mole.
mole. No,
He doesn't have to go to the dermatologist. I'm really happy
no,
about
he's
that.
fine.
Okay.
But the thing that you need to take away from this conversation
Yeah,
is that Pedro Pascal is daddy. He
he's okay. He's
No,
okay.
he is so hot. And here's the thing. He played a very big character in Game of Thrones, and then obviously The Last of Us just like
What?
shot him off into
Who did he
superstardom.
play in Game of Thrones?
Oberyn Martell, I
That's
think.
not true.
I googled it. It is true.
I don't know who that is. I don't know
And
why I asked you who.
you wouldn't know it. I could say Schlieben Blobbin Booper Snoot, and you would be like, "That's not real," and I'd be like, "You don't know that for sure, though."
I don't think I can name one Game of Thrones character, actually.
Can I tell you a fun fact that you may already know?
What's that?
At one point, George R.R. Martin, in one of his books, and I don't know which one, he made up like one of the houses, because like that's the big thing. There's houses. One of the family names, like all their names were like Muppets. So there was like Grover, whatever, and
Okay.
Kermit, whatever, and Oscar, whatever. And it's just like absolutely ridiculous that there are Muppet named characters. Canon.
This is real?
This is real.
The only thing that I know about Game of Thrones is that Sophie Turner, ex-wife of Joe Jonas,
One of
was
the
in it.
Joe Bros.
Yes, yeah. And
That's all you know.
I mean, like, I know about the Red Wedding because
Okay, that's
it's a
more.
pop culture
It
moment.
is a pop culture moment.
And I think I know who the throne went to at the end because once again it was like a pop culture moment. But
Okay.
that's about it. Yeah, I don't really know much.
Well, Pedro Pascal is popping the fuck
Okay,
off
so
right
he
now.
was in this and he played Eddie.
He played Dead Eddie, or I like to call him Deddy.
Deddy.
He played Deddy. Buffy meets him. They're both a little lost. I'm like, if this ends up being like the beginning of a meet cute love story, I will love it. No, he dies pretty much immediately. And yeah, he becomes a vampire who then Buffy finds. But the game of the way they do this, right? So let's get into the college vamps. These college vamps, their game is that they will hunt down freshmen and then they will bite them, eat them, whatever. And then they clear out their dorm rooms, steal all their shit, and leave a note being like, "It was too much. I had to leave." And so not only do they get fed, but they get trendy shit.
You know what? Hate the game, not the player. Hate the player, not the game. I don't know. Hate neither because this is genius. I think
really
that
a great idea.
it is a good idea. I think this was a well thought out plan. It seems like this has been something that has been going on for years. So they were really able to stay under the radar because they didn't do like thousands of new students. They did like 10, and that was enough to like satisfy their hunger and their fashion needs. So I thought this was like a really well laid out plan. I liked this little crew. Do you remember who the lead girl was? What her name was?
Her name was Sunday.
Sunday was pretty cool. She was really cool. I'm a little disappointed that we got only one episode with her. I was wondering
that and the Surfer Bro vamp. Like they were just like very fun and different sorts of vamps that were like, "Oh, we should kill like cooler people so we could get trendier stuff."
Yeah.
Like, and I think the only downside to this plan in a logic-based way is that college students' parents will come looking for them versus like people who go missing that people wouldn't notice. But if your game is, well, we're going to take over an old like sorority fraternity house, an abandoned one, we'll live there. Perfect. Okay, you're going to kill these kids that aren't adjusting well to college and make it seem like they leave. You at least get some lead time on their parents finding out. Like, this is a great plan in order to get cool shit and get fed. Win-win. Like, and Sunday seems Really cool. I was a little sad that
Yeah.
she died episode 1.
I was even like thinking, is there a world that Sunday is like Spike and Drululu's like secret lost daughter because of the
But they were
platinum?
vampires when they met. How does that? Oh, you mean like via biting,
No,
like a
I don't know.
spawn thing?
Did we ever discuss like vampire pregnancy if this is a thing?
We
Like,
haven't, or if we have, I don't remember doing it. But like, I
yeah.
don't think it's a
I'll
thing.
tell you what, in The Sims, you can have 2 vampires and they can have a baby and their baby
Yes.
will be a vampire.
And we
So-
know that The Sims knows exactly about vampire lore.
I do. They
Yeah.
do. Yeah.
They know all about it.
Yeah. Sims late night because
It
because
has to be late night.
It has to be
Duh.
late night. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
Okay.
I don't know. Like I don't know if like most shows like I always like talk about Twilight because it's the only other like vampire thing that I ever watched. And
Mhm.
obviously Bella, like Nessa Rose, is that her name? No, that's from Wicked.
I have no idea what you're talking about. So
What do you mean?
who's
Bella and
Nessa?
Edward's daughter.
That's Renesmee.
Whatever. Renesmee. She was like an anomaly, right? So
Oh, sure. Yeah, she wasn't supposed to be able to happen, and then she grew at like a ridiculous rate, and an adult werewolf fell in love with her. It's fucked up.
a tale as old as time.
Yeah.
So
And he had a weird mullet. Do you remember the weird mullet?
who? Jacob?
Didn't he have a weird mullet?
I don't know. But anyway, I was like, how cool would that be? It's like, oh, Spike comes back because
Oh, it
his,
wasn't a
like,
mullet. It was just long hair, but it was pulled back in the front, so I thought it was a mullet.
Spike comes back because his like vampire daughter, who also has platinum blonde hair, is dead.
I would love that. I would
Yeah,
love
that would be
that.
That'd be
Because she's dead now, so we're not gonna get more of her, and we only
Yeah.
see one of her vamp
Mhm.
coven, whatever they call themselves.
Escape. Two of them escaped.
Well, one of them gets caught by what appeared to be the government, so we'll have to talk about what the hell that's about.
I really didn't know what that was. Yeah, I really like Sunday. I thought that she was pretty cool. I thought that she was like her snippiness was interesting. I thought that like played well off of Buffy. I thought the choreography, the fightology was pretty good between
They were kicking and they were
with them.
punching, and it was pretty
Yeah.
good.
It was a scene to watch that was more than tolerable.
And you know what, Sarah? I forgot. I should have. This is obviously the biggest headline of this episode, and I really should have brought it up sooner than 42 minutes in.
What's that?
We have to hold a special ceremony to grieve the loss of our dear Umbrella, which Sunday
it's fine.
smashed the fucking shit out of.
Right. No, the umbrella's still there, and
I
tape
the
it up.
integrity of the umbrella is a little lost, but
I mean, it's still there. It'll still be kicking. But it was funny. Like they were making fun of like what she was wearing. They were making fun of her stuff and the umbrella. It was really. She was like a fun villain, and gone too soon for sure.
I do think she is like a very fun representation of like the just proof that Buffy is now the small fish in the big pond instead of the big fish in the small pond. Like she is a really great representative of that. I think we get some other moments of like, wow, look at the size of this freaking library. Like it's massive compared to our old library. And like, you don't know the librarian here. Giles is in his leisure moment, so he's not going to be the librarian. Like there were a lot of fun moments like that. And Buffy is going to get some help in solving this whole college vamp situation with the help of Xander, who she meets when she goes back home, right? She goes home. Her mom has filled her bedroom in one day with a ton of work stuff, which I'm like, man.
It was like a week or two. Yeah.
I was just like, I feel like you should expect that your kid's going to be a little homesick right away and like not necessarily fill their bedroom with shit. But like, I also just don't like Joyce and I love to pick on her. So
yeah. I thought that Xander was like the real MVP because Buffy starts getting like a little down and out. There's a couple of things that happen with school. Like she gets like kicked out of one class and like
That
really
guy was a
bullied. He
douchebag.
was
That
a douche.
psychology,
Yeah.
no, not the psychology guy. It was the TV guy. The
Yeah.
psych one was just like a hard ass, but she seemed
Yeah.
okay. The
Yeah.
other guy was like, "Leave, you're wasting our time."
He
It's
was like, "You're literally a waste of breath." I was like, "Okay, dude."
"This is a college freshman who just got here. Calm
Yeah.
the fuck down, you
Yeah.
psycho."
So she goes home and like obviously it seems that Giles doesn't have time for her. It seems like Joyce
Cause
is
he be
replacing her.
fucking. Cause
He's
he be
very busy.
fucking.
He's very
Look
busy.
at this man.
Well,
This is a man
I
who
know.
fucks. This is
I know.
also a man who fucks.
Especially that one. I know. He's like a little busy. He's a little busy and
Mhm.
basically he tells her like, not my monkeys, not my circus anymore and like, figure it out on your own, which was a little harsh as
Well,
well.
I think when he comes running in at the end of the episode, right, and he's like late to the party, I feel like he was doing the thing of putting up this wall of like, I need Buffy to be able to learn to fly on her own. So he's like
Yeah.
shoving her out the nest. I
Yeah.
think he secretly, if we were in Giles's brain in that scene, I feel like he'd be being like, where are they? Let me help you, blah, blah, blah. Like, I feel like he would really want to help. I think he's
Mhm.
trying to stop himself because when he comes in running at the end, he's like, I'm so sorry. I'm so he's very panicky.
Yeah.
But I just loved that. I loved that we did get that moment at the end because I do think if not for that, it does seem like Giles is coming off very harsh towards Buffy.
Yeah, everyone's so
Um,
mean. I would be crying. This is why I think that I know Buffy's a Capricorn. I am very strong that Buffy is probably a Scorpio or has water in her. She is a
mhm.
little emotional little thing, and everybody was being so mean to her this episode. But anyway, she doesn't like talk to Oz or Willow about her struggles or like the fact that she has like a speculation because she thinks that they don't have time for her either, that like everybody is just moved on without her. It's so sad. So then when Xander comes around and is like, hey, like let's get the gang back together, like let's like put the Scoobs back together, like solve this, like where's like what can we do here? I thought that he was incredible. Like he really like made Buffy feel like very loved and like is like, hey, like we're still friends, like we're still how we used to. I think that like Xander single-handedly turned everything around for Buffy, in my
Are you
opinion.
ready? Are you
Yeah,
ready?
I mean, let me hear it. What do you gotta say?
This is Xander's best episode
Ever.
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 Ever. And he's
Ever.
done a lot. And like, sure, maybe you could point to like, oh, he's like saved the day a few times, like as a soldier, whatever. I would agree with that. But like, this is the most I personally have
Mhm.
ever liked Xander. I couldn't find a single thing to poke at him and be like, that was wrong that he did that.
Mhm.
Every single move, every single joke, I felt like was
A
like
hit.
absolutely perfect. And here is why. I think the fact that we find out that originally he was supposed to be traveling to all 50 states with his car over the
Driving.
summer.
Specifically driving to all 50
Yes.
states,
Yes.
including Hawaii, which
Yes.
is none of anybody's business. If he wants to drive
not
to
my
Hawaii,
business.
that's his prerogative.
Yeah, he'll find a bridge somewhere. So he was supposed to do that. His car breaks down very quickly into his trip. He ends up having to like work to pay to get his car fixed. He ends up like there's like a male strip club story he doesn't want to talk about, which I thought was funny. And again, the reason it's funny is because he is not talking about a women's strip club where he was oogling women. No, he's talking about like he had to strip. And now he's living in his parents' basement. He has rent to pay, like he's not having a good time. This is perfect. And because Willow, who we will talk about a little bit, she's thriving. She is thriving in her corner,
She's
right?
thriving and is doing a great job of being a shitty friend, but go forward. Go on.
She is thriving in college. Oz knows everyone on campus. He's thriving in college. Buffy is the one who is like struggling. She's a little homesick. She's a little bit now she's a small fish in big pond. Like she doesn't know where she belongs. She can't find her place. Xander comes in and shows Buffy it's okay if you like don't know what you're doing because he sure as hell doesn't. And I'm not trying to put him down. I'm just saying like she sees camaraderie and she sees someone else who doesn't necessarily know where they fit yet. And he's also having a bad time. And not only is he having a bad time, but he's also being like, no, first of all, I'm hearing you. I believe you. Let's go find the bad guys. Let's take
Yeah.
care of this problem. Like, I'm listening and I'm also here for you. And I'm willing to like take action to help you. And no one else in this episode does that for Buffy, right? Like,
Yep.
Willow is preoccupied, Oz is preoccupied, Joyce fills her room with work stuff, Giles sends her back to college. No one is really listening to her fully and like trying to see what's going on. I feel like within the first 2 seconds of Xander and Buffy talking, he was able to be like, there's something going on. Like, you're not right. There's something
Yeah.
wrong here. And I just feel like I really hope this is the Xander we see for the rest of the season. I don't have like super high hopes for that, but like we just got off on the right foot with him. And I felt like it made a lot of sense to me that of all the people Buffy would connect to when she is feeling like she doesn't quite fit in and she's a little out of place, it makes so much sense that it would be Xander. And it makes a lot of sense too, Sarah, that like his trip wouldn't have gone off without a hitch and that he probably didn't end up getting super far,
Yeah.
unfortunately
Yeah.
for him, because that sucks.
It does suck, but it's like very, I don't know, it's like very him to get stuck in the middle of nowhere and like have to like figure his shit out. He got humbled. I think like that's what you're liking. Like we don't like it when he's like very full of himself and like he's like kind of acting like he's like an asshat, but he got humbled this summer and it really worked. And I think that like seeing Buffy's like attitude or like she absolutely like turned around once Xander was back. Like she needed him, like she needed
Yeah.
that friendship in her life. Like she needed his presence to turn around like the bad time she was having. And yeah, like eventually Willow, I'm really, really, really happy that Willow is having a great time in college. I think that's great. Like I think that's great that she's finding herself. I think it's great that she's like excited to go to different activities. But she is not being a very present friend for Buffy throughout it. And doesn't really seem to like notice slash care that Buffy is struggling, which is always frustrating to see. But I think it's once again like of the times of being a young adult and just like navigating the world, being in your own new environment, like trying to find yourself. You can't always like be super focused on your friends and like the bad time they're having. Like you do need to like live your own life. But like I definitely was frustrated at Willow throughout it and like seeing her. I mean, I did like how when she saw the note that the vampires had left, she was like, this doesn't seem like Buffy, or like she was like, you know what? Like I feel so bad, like I wasn't listening to her. And oh, BTW. Did you see like Oz was like, "Oh, everything's going to be okay." And she was like, "Why are you two so calm? Like what is wrong with you? Wake up." And I'm like, "Yes, Willow, that's why I've been saying he is so annoying."
It's because he's on college campus. He's smoking pot all the time now.
I
Like,
think that's what it is. He's like he's like
yeah, of course.
high.
It's exactly what it is. But no, I think okay, because I'm glad you did end up saying the thing about Willow and also her being busy and having a lot going on with like the start of college, because I thought that it was full circle and there was a bit of redemption when she starts freaking out when she sees the note. She's like, how did we not know anything was wrong? And then she's like really starting to spiral. I feel like I'm a lot like Willow in terms of the preparation, right? I would have been this exact same as her. I would have had all my classes picked out immediately. I would have known exactly where to go at what time, because that sort of stuff stresses me out. Is like first day of school jitters where I don't know where I'm going and I don't have my routine down yet. And that I feel like would be me with Willow. And I think if that's similar, if her and I are similar in that way, then I also feel like you can get a bit caught up in yourself and how you're feeling and your emotions and your anxieties. And then you don't have any other time, or you can't even see that someone else might be suffering and someone else might need you. And so I related to Willow in those moments of like, yes, she's very happy and seemingly excited. I'm sure she's also very stressed and like very busy because it is the beginning of classes. And it stinks that like she couldn't pick up on the cues of maybe Buffy not being the most excited, or maybe she looks a little lost or, upset. I can forgive Willow because there's a lot going on, and like it'd be different if Buffy reached out and Willow was like, figure it out yourself. But I think we're relying on Willow to like notice those things in Buffy,
Yeah.
which she should notice, but she's also really busy. And so maybe she just missed it.
Yeah.
Regardless, I love that she had Xander there to pick her up and not pick her up, but like help her figure out what the heck was going on. And they make a great team. They don't have Giles there, they don't have Willow there, they don't have Oz there. Like no one else is there. It's just the two
They
of
did
them.
the computer hacking on their own.
They did, and they did research and they figured it out. And then they make a plan. Unfortunately, the plan, as always, goes a little sideways. Buffy falls through the window.
I knew when she was on that window, I was like, it's gonna break. And it did.
Yeah.
And so Buffy already had her little wrist broken because Sunday broke her wrist.
Yeah.
And then she got her whole ass arm broken by Sunday. But it was really cool when she was able to be like, I'm gonna fight you anyway with one arm. All I need is one arm. And then she like does her kiki punchy. And then I really liked how she took care of everybody except for, well, two escaped. And then everybody came in and it was like, hey, do you need help? Because like Xander like really rallied the troops, which I really liked. And I liked how subtle he was. He was like, yes, it was a prank. Our friends that stay out all night and are pale.
Super pale. I thought that was actually pretty funny.
Yeah.
And he does eventually, again, like Buffy does a great job at beginning the fight and like taking out as many people as she can.
Yeah.
But I was happy to see that like they're a well-oiled machine at this point. Like once Willow and Xander and Oz and them arrive, bing, bang, boom, it's taken care of.
Well, didn't she was like, she had already taken care of it, and they're like, do you need help? And then she's like, no, I got this. And then she did like that cool stake spinny thing.
That was just with Sunday. They did help. Xander killed a vampire. Willow had like a crossbow. They definitely helped her.
They did stuff. Okay.
But like, yeah. And then she does the last hit to Sunday to take her out.
I love that little spinny trick.
Oh, that's a big gift from the show. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah.
And yeah, like you said, so one escapes and the army. Well, no, but I'm saying the one that gets grabbed by the army gets like tasered and taken away. So I'm assuming that is like some sort of a big storyline with the government or something.
It's something. And we've been talking about like how sus like the local government / like the government was. It's something. I don't know. Like I don't really they didn't kill him, so it seems as though he probably got taken. And
I'm assuming they're like experimenting or something on vampires.
Or they're like creating like their own vampire army, and it's like, it's gonna be something along those lines. But yeah, it was like really, really fun. I was curious, do you have a security blanket? Like a la Mr. Pointy, as she said. Do you have like a
I don't anymore. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I even did it that age, really. I know a lot of people, for them, it's their like, what's that blanket you come home from the hospital in? I forget the name of it. I mean, people call it different things. It has like a receiving blanket. That's the thing. I know for a lot of people, it's that. I can't. I don't think I really have.
You don't have anything. Yeah.
No, you know me, I'm not super sentimental when it comes to that sort of a thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. What about you?
I do not. No, I don't have a lovey or anything.
Yeah. Anything else about this episode? Giles is fucking. Willow is thriving. Oz is living off campus with the band, so we know where he's living now. So currently we have Buffy rooming with Kathy, Willow rooming with ? Oz living off campus with the band, Xander living in his parents' basement, Giles still living in his apartment, jobless, but fucking. No Cordy. We'll talk about her in a second, obviously, when we talk about Angel.
No Wesley.
No Wesley. Yeah, maybe he's gone. I thought he was gonna be around, but who the hell knows? Maybe he's gone.
Yeah. Did you like the episode? Did you have fun?
Yeah. I thought it was a good episode. I think it was a good premiere. I think we started off strong. It was more monster of the week, obviously, with the campus vamps, but I feel like we're setting up a larger story with possibly the government or something. And I thought it was like a decent episode for most of the characters. It set up a lot this season.
Yeah.
What did you think?
Yeah, I was really loving it. Like, I was having a really good time. Of course, like when the vampires came around, I was like, oh yeah, this show is just like not a basic teen drama. I was like, oh yeah, this show has vampires, of course. How can I nearly forget? But yeah, I really enjoyed it. Funnily enough, like I really did not notice Cordelia missing in my first watch. Funnily enough. So I think that is something to be said about how we utilize our like secondary characters and why some might go into the mists as well. But I guess that is something that we have to talk about in a moment. Do we have like do we have feedback for like Buffy
Yes.
specifically?
Yeah, so let's get into the Buffy feedback and then we'll talk Angel. We got an email from Julia. Why did they kill off Pedro Pascal's character? And he was the exact type of guy I wanted for Buffy. Genuinely nice, sweet and awkward in a cute way. And Sarah Michelle Gellar had great chemistry with him for all of 2 minutes. Something I cannot say for Buffy's actual love interest this season. Ooh. This episode is one of the best introduction to college years episodes I've seen. The no audience's feelings are mirrored in Buffy. Everything's changed. No Angel, no library, no Joyce, no Giles. Together with Buffy, the audience goes from feeling feeling uncertain of the new environment and holding on to the past to feeling ready for the next chapter. I don't care about Angel's departure, but why did they have to take Cordelia too? I understand she doesn't have a place with the Scoobies anymore, but I miss the energy she brought to the show. Xander calling Buffy his hero is one of the top 3 best moments for me, just below the Zeppo. Xander's loyalty to Buffy is his best character trait, and I think season 4 is his best season, mainly because he gets less screen time, but also because he didn't annoy me this season. Buffy calling Giles hook up with Olivia gross because he's old is hilarious, considering her last boyfriend was 200 years old and dead. Opposite to seasons 2 and 3, I find the first half of the season much more enjoyable than the second. My advice of season 4 is just enjoy the fun stuff. It's one of the most lighthearted seasons, which I didn't like on my first watch through, but in hindsight, works well with the series' overall arc.
Yeah.
So,
do you know that the general consensus of season 4 is that like the people aren't like, you know how they love season 2 and season 3?
Yes.
That is not what the people in the streets say about season 4.
Okay. I mean, here's the thing, though. I would say generally we don't take things as seriously as like some people do, and sometimes we like the lighthearted stuff.
We like stupid fucks.
We do like stupid shit happening. Like we do enjoy those things. So I'm going in to it with like a very open mind and an open heart, and we'll see what
can't
happens.
lose.
Open minds, open hearts can't lose. That's what they say.
Like the greats have said that.
All the greats have said it. So Sarah, let's talk about Angel. You and I both watched the premiere of Angel.
Yeah.
And we're gonna spoil it. So like if you haven't seen Angel but have seen Buffy and you don't want to be spoiled on Angel, like now's your time to leave. It was called The City of Angels. Of course, the city of Angel.
Yeah.
He moves to LA, which is like only like 3 hours away from where Buffy lives.
Hi, I'm Angel. I have to leave. Instead of me going back to Ireland or somewhere like even remotely interesting, I'm just going to drive to Los Angeles.
So ridiculous.
Yeah. He's like, I got an apartment over there and it is real good. Yeah, I did not know. I didn't know where he was going to go. I didn't think that he was going to go to LA. I was just like, okay. Very, very interesting. Just a few hours away. Overall thoughts on Angel, Jessica?
I think so. Our friend of the pod, Lindy, asked me like if I had to rate the episode, what I would rate it. I rated it like a 6 out of 10. I feel like it was fine. Okay. I think my biggest issue with it, which I'm sure will be something that like is worked on as the show goes on, is that like because it's male centered versus Buffy, which is showing from the female focus more, it was a little of like I'm here to save the damsel in distress sort of vibes that like I don't
Mm.
particularly care for. I thought the side characters are way more interesting than Angel himself. So we have Doyle, who's like the guy in the hat who's his little sidekick, and he
He
thinks he's
is,
prickly.
yeah, he's the Robin to Angel's Batman. He's a
Yes.
porcupine.
He must be a porcupine. I don't understand what else he would be besides a
I
porcupine.
He's like, Angel's like, you don't smell human. And Doyle's like,
It's
you're
'cause he's a
right. My
porcupine.
mom was human, but my dad was a porcupine. And I know that's really fucked and bestiality is disgusting, but don't judge me because you're a vampire.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
facts are facts.
Exactly.
Facts are facts. He's half porcupine. And he was fun. Like he has an Irish accent. So I guess like they have that in common that they're both maybe from Ireland. I don't know.
Sure, maybe. I don't
Sure.
know.
And he comes,
Yeah.
I don't understand. He said, the powers that be have sent me. And I was like, is that the council? Is that like your porcupine gods? Is that like Sonic the Hedgehog? Because maybe hedgehogs are the bosses of porcupines. I don't know. I don't understand the animal kingdom, but something was happening. He said, I came here because of the powers that be. I'm here to help you because I know that you are here. You are wanting to help, but instead you just sulk around like you do all day. So he is there to help. And then Cordelia is there because okay, wait, hold on. Doyle gives Angel one job. He goes, I have a job for you. I'm just going to give you a name and a place and a time, and that's all you need to know. And the name is Tina.
I truly don't know. And
Okay.
I don't think it really
So then
matters.
so then he helps this girl who's in this like kerfuffle with some guy named Russell, who I guess is a vampire too, because at the end he gets like thrown off into the deep end, into the sky. I don't really know what happened to Tina, but at the party with Tina, he runs into Cordelia. And were you surprised seeing Cordelia?
Yes, and here's why.
Mhm.
Because like you, when I watched the Buffy premiere, I was so first of all, it was late at night. But second of all, there was so much going on that I wasn't necessarily looking out for Cordelia. So I hadn't
Yeah.
really noticed that like she hadn't been around. So then I start watching Angel. And of course, they had to do the opening credits. And I'm like, the fuck is Charisma Carpenter doing here?
So you literally watched the credits and you saw Charisma Carpenter and you were like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
You did not see like any other thing. It was literally the like, for example,
The opening credits. Yeah.
it was the opening credits. And then were
Because
you
she
like,
wasn't in a scene until way later.
so then what did you like, what was your brain thinking? Like, did you think that she fully transitioned over, or like what was cranking in that noggin of yours?
I was immediately like, if she is in the main credits, then she is a main cast member.
There is 3 people in that credits. David Boreanaz, Charisma Carpenter, and Doyle. Whatever the fuck is it. 3
Right.
people. There's 3 people in those credits. Charisma Carpenter is number 2.
Yeah. So in my head, I'm like, okay, so she's obviously a main character on this show, which means if she's hanging out in LA all season, she's not going to be in Sunnydale. So, like, immediately I was like, oh shit, like, what the hell? Cordelia's here. And this makes so much more, it makes everything very clear to me in terms of why people wanted us to talk about it, why people were insistent that, like, you don't get the full story unless you watch both, you miss out on character arcs. Well, yeah, because Cordelia leaves the freaking other show and now she's on this show.
So
But
you're mad.
I will say I think I've gone through some stages of grief here because I feel like at first I was very angry. I was very angry that we weren't going to get Cordelia on Buffy. Now, friend of the pod, Tom Palmer, did point out you don't have to worry about Cordy and Xander getting back together. And that I said is very true. And I should have thought about that. And now it made me a little bit happier.
Okay.
The main thing that here's where I land on like Cordy being on Angel. the show needs her, okay? Like, the show does need her. I think without her in the first episode, I am like 75% less interested in the show. Like, truly. They need her both for her wit, her funniness, her like general positivity and like spunk that she brings, because Angel is so moody, Grudy McGruberson. Like, he's just so sad and depressed all the time. I don't want to watch that. So Cordy brings like a bit of life into the show. And the other thing is that Tom Palmer did point out was she is second in the billing, right? She's not like sixth. She's going to get more to do because she's so high up in like the hierarchy here. She is like number 2 on the show, so she'll get more. My concern, Sarah, is they best not do a romance between Cordy and Angel, or I will fucking riot. Okay, I will fucking riot.
I mean, it could happen. It could happen. Yeah, I'm pretty unbothered. I'm mostly curious how this came about, and maybe that's a little like inside baseball, but like obviously they wanted to spin David Boreanaz off and do into his own thing. Like, he probably was a big name. He was obviously like a good looking actor. Like, they wanted to have like a male audience like check out, like it behooved them to have like a quote unquote male version of Buffy to Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I want to know like did they approach Charisma Carpenter and say like, hey, I know that like you're not getting a lot. Like, do you want to go over to this show and you'll get like more screen time? You'll get like more shows to chew on. Did Charisma Carpenter say like, you're not utilizing me enough? Like, I really am so curious as to kind of like logistics of like how this came about and why, because it's not like Cordy and Angel really had like a ton together. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't super make a ton of sense that the character Cordelia joins in, and that's what she winds up doing. She winds up like working under Angel to be like this like vigilante like helper, because Cordelia comes to LA because she's still poor and she can't afford to get into college. So then she's like, I'm going to become an actress, and she's like struggling because becoming an actress is hard. Hollywood is hard. There's like a lot of hoops that you have to jump through. She doesn't have an agent yet. She doesn't have a manager yet. She's going to different Hollywood parties and like schmoozing, which is great. And she does run into Angel there. But so like it's just it's all very curious to me, and I really want to know like how this came about, like who decided this. Is it really like, like we feel as though these secondary characters, Cordelia and Angel, have a lot of potential, but they don't have a lot of space on this show, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So we like these characters and we're going to move them off into the secondary show. I just want to know. I want to know how this came about, really. So
I agree. I'd be interested to.
Yeah, if anybody knows, I'm sure I know everybody knows, but if anybody knows, tell us.
Yeah, I'm curious as well. Like, was it a joint? Was it a joint decision? Like, who approached whom? Like, how did this all go down? It is really interesting. Cordy gets like a really fun role in this episode. She's able to suss out that a guy is a vampire, which I think is really fun because it shows she does have like street smarts, and she did learn a thing or two from her time on the Hellmouth. And we get the big bad villain Russell. And I love Angel. The one line that I liked from Angel was that "Can you fly?" I thought that was very fun.
Like threw him through the window in his office chair, and he flew out. Yeah, I felt like Cordelia kind of regressed a little in this first episode. Like, I feel like this was like a earlier baked version of Cordelia, in a way, like, and because I was starting to see a lot of like, or at least some growth into Cordelia, and even Angel said like, oh, it seems like people don't really change out there in the world. And
I love that that's his voice. It sounds just like him.
That's
Your
his voice.
impression has gotten very good.
Thank you. And I felt as though like Cordelia was on the path of evolving, and obviously like this is what we're going to be able to see by watching Angel, like Cordelia like really doing her full arc into like the higher, better version of herself where she's ultimately going to go, which is going to be great. I mean, like honestly, if you were like, hey, like, do you want to watch this show called Cordelia where she goes off to LA? And I'd be like, yes, sign me up for that. Like,
Yep,
right?
yep,
Like
please.
like I
Yeah.
will watch that show. Yes. So if that's why we're watching Angel, like that's totally fine. Angel himself, like I think that like he hit a lot of like good beats. Like I really think that they were like, "Ooh, we want to do Batman without Batman and we are going to do it."
I joked the entire time I was watching it. I was like, I am the darkness. I am the night. Like that is what it
Yeah.
feels like he's playing
And
Batman.
and they know it too. Like that's the thing about like Buffy or Angel or whatever. Like they know that like they referenced it at some point. They said something about Batman or something. Like they know that that's what they're doing. And it's really it's fun when like he gets to do like his like very dramatic Angel stuff, like walking into a room in an all black outfit with like a big train with his coat, and like some of the things were like very cool, like Doyle like and they got a getaway car. I will say like this show definitely feels like it's for the bros. Like the editing style is like very different from Buffy, like with the quick cuts.
It's very masculine for
Yeah,
sure.
it
It
feels
feels masculine. It feels dark and broody like Angel is at times.
yeah.
I do think having Cordelia and Doyle there will bring some levity because Doyle gives big like a sidekick with the witty banter energy, which I'm
Mhm.
kind of hoping him and Cordelia get together. That way I don't have to worry about Angel and Cordelia getting together.
Yeah.
But and I do think there's something there, I think he can be a little one-linery, kind of like Xander was, so I do think there could be something there. But yeah, I did like the end of the episode where Cordelia is like not begging, but like very much insinuating like she needs a job, like she needs help,
I
and
need a
they're
job. I need to pay rent. I have
yeah.
nothing. I felt very sad for Cordelia. Like she had to like
Mhm,
take extra food from the party because she was hungry, and
mhm.
she like was trying to like manifest stuff. Like she's definitely struggling. Um and she needs a job. So um I'm very curious, like, what's our action plan here? Are we watching, like, an episode a week as well, or
I'd say this is what we should do. I'm cool. I have enough time in my week where I'll throw on the next episode of Angel. I did also get a list from Michael in San Francisco. Thank you so much, Michael, for like the necessary Angel episodes that there may be some
okay,
overlap
so
with Buffy.
some that we actually had to pay attention to instead of just throwing on in the
Yep, but we
background.
don't have to pay attention again until episode 3. So you can watch
Thumbs
episode
up.
2 or not watch episode 2. I'll
I'll watch
watch it.
episode 2. I'll watch
We'll
episode
we'll
2.
do a little creeper corner again. This is probably a longer one than most will be just because we're setting things up and we're like, this is the first time we have experience with the show. But that's kind of the plan going forward. So if you wanted us to watch Angel, I guess you're welcome, but we are not doing a whole separate podcast on it cuz ain't nobody got that kind of time. Um Anything else, Sarah?
What's next episode of, Buffy called?
Oh, thank you so much for asking because I would love nothing more than to tell you what the next episode of Buffy is called once I get my spreadsheet up because I didn't have it open
I
because
think
I'm a
it's
terrible
called living
podcaster.
arrangements or
Living
living
arrangements.
accommodations for
Living conditions.
yeah,
Yeah.
something like
Nailed it.
yeah,
Season 4, episode 2, living conditions. So we'll
yeah.
be talking about that next week
Yeah.
alongside whatever the heck episode 2 of Angel is
I
called,
will
which
call
I don't need
that
to know.
I will call that a roommate swap in the making.
I would love that because Kathy ain't it, all right?
Yeah.
And we still haven't met Willow's roommate. I guess maybe next episode.
Mhm.
So I think that's everything we've got. So make sure you follow us at Shit90s Pod everywhere. Follow Whirlwind Podcasts. Sarah dropped a nice little who she's attracted to lately, and that would be Dr. What's his name? Something Brown.
Andy Brown?
Dr. Andy Brown
That's his
from the one
name?
and only Everwood.
Everyone I've never seen that show either.
Yep. So go check out everything they have going along, and we'll be back next week to talk about the second episode of season 4 of Buffy. Until then, here endeth the lesson.
Just ask. Shit 90 shows taught me.
Shit 90 Shows Taught Me was not filmed before a live studio audience.